Sorry I've been late to the Detroit Pistons analysis, guys. My team has become important to the NBA landscape, and I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to react to this. This is a whole new territory for me as a Pistons fan in my adult life. So I just caught the full archive of the Pistons playing against the Philadelphia 76ers, getting a win in Philadelphia, becoming 8-2, being the first seed in the Eastern Conference. These are not words I expected to say 10 games into the season, especially after we found out that Jaden Ivey was going to be out for a month. Okay? And a lot of people have been like, Kofie, what are your thoughts on the Pistons' hot start? And I have been refraining from doing a long form video on this topic for a couple of reasons. One, I think that 5 games in, it was like too small of a sample size to really narrow down what's going on, especially with the injuries. We had LeVert injured for a little bit. Sasser's still hurt. Stewart's been out a couple games, but I feel like 10 games in, I can kind of take a step back and be like, I think we're starting to see what this Pistons identity is going to be this season. And frankly, I have nothing but excitement for the rest of the season, which is not something I've been able to say 10 games into a Pistons season for like maybe 2 decades. The last time we started 8-2, I think, was 2003. And I think in 2005, we were like 9-1 to start. But this is the best start that the Pistons have had in a long time. And the crazy part is that I honestly feel like the Detroit Pistons' strengths are already so apparent and their weaknesses are visible enough to where I'm not saying they can be fixed, but I can see ways that they can get around those weaknesses long term. If you're new here, welcome in, and if you know me, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the channel. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel, the second channel and the first channel. And also, the best way to support me is through Nebula. Nebula is a content creator made streaming platform, so you'll be able to get content from both me and other very talented long form content creators. And now you have access to free trials for 3 days. You can get that link in my description. Thank you again for once supporting the channel any way you can. Thank you for my Patreon subscribers. Thank you to my Nebula supporters. And let's get to the rest of the video. So I think the main difference between this year's Pistons team and last year's Pistons team is that the energy somehow seems higher even. I know the Pistons were a high energy team last year. You know, Stewart, Asar, Ron Holland, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey. But it seems like it's even elevated to another level, which is something that we all thought was possible, but we didn't think would be here so soon. I know that this offseason, a lot of people have been asking, like, what trades should we make? I'm like, trades? I don't think we need to make any trades at all. I think it's one of the things where this offseason, if we see a collective form of improvement from Duren, from Asar, from a Holland, it doesn't matter like how much it is. I feel like if they all improve, this is a very dangerous basketball team. It feels like this is a core group of guys that have known what it is like to lose on a horrendous level in the NBA and never want to be in that position again. They never want to do that again. I feel like last season gave them a taste of what their careers and how a season should look. And they came out of that loss to the Knicks in the playoffs even hungrier this season. I feel like last season is so important. I feel like it could potentially be a turning point, a real turning point permanently for how this franchise goes for the foreseeable future. Because before that, for a long time, being mid or being losers was just the norm here in Detroit. Ever since, you know, the championship core of 2004 like started to disappear and all of that. But now you listen to these guys talk in interviews afterwards being like, we're expecting to win. We've gotten a taste of winning, and we never want to feel like losers again. And I feel like that's a really important thing. And I feel like it has seeped into their play so much. I remember, you know, during the streak, it was not only was it just like losing, but it felt like each loss kept like defeating their psyche, their confidence, you know, and it's not a easy thing to do in terms of to lose that much after, you know, winning basketball games your entire life. And I feel like we've built a really hungry core of players. And I think by far and away, the standout performances this season have been from Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren. And I know that Jalen Duren's looked like a monster in this entire season. He looks unguardable in the paint. But I think we have to loop those two together, and I'm going to go to the board and talk about why. I think the biggest difference between last season and this season is the Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren dynamic. Last season, Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren never played together. They rarely play on the same floor. Here, Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren only shared the court in 9 games and averaged 0.9 minutes together, guys. Again, this is the 2-man lineup for the Pistons last season. Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren never shared the floor together. This was a really, this was a thing. They never did it. And it makes sense because Isaiah Stewart last year was seen as more of the backup 5 and not a double big lineup compared to like Jalen Duren or whatnot. And I think that during the playoffs, when the Knicks played the Towns and Mitchell Robinson lineup, Bickerstaff couldn't counter back with the Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren. Well, Isaiah Stewart was hurt for most of that series anyway. But even still, I don't think Bickerstaff would have gone to that lineup. Last year, that lineup never really played together. Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren are all the way down here. They only shared the court in 9 games. Don't you think? Don't you think that's kind of wild? I think that's kind of wild. And this comes from the season before where Monty Williams played Isaiah Stewart, Asar Thompson, and Jalen Duren all together in the same starting lineup. But that was back in the Shadow Realm days where there were more spacing concerns. Asar Thompson was a rookie. And they just didn't... We left that entire season questioning if those two could play together. But look at where we're at now. So this was last season. They rarely played together. This was last season. This season, we've seen Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren play in more lineups, and this is 10 minutes a game. So from 0.9 minutes per game and only the 9 minutes that they even shared the court together, to now they're being seen more prevalently. And I think a lot of this also goes down to the fact that Tobias Harris is injured. So I think JB Bickerstaff putting Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren together, seeing how it can work, and it's paid off. Here we have offensive rating and defensive rating and then net rating. So when it comes to Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren, they have a net rating of 13.7. So not only are Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren able to play together, it's working. It's working, guys. And there wasn't really a question on if it would work defensively. It's a question on working offensively. And the thing is that we've been able to see Isaiah Stewart shoot confidently from 3-point range. And that's a big freaking deal, honestly. And it's really interesting because for Isaiah Stewart, the year that we were like horrendous, he did shoot 38% from 3, averaging 3.8 threes per game. And that kind of really went away when the Detroit Pistons added the shooters of Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. I think that when Bickerstaff got there, maybe Isaiah Stewart was just looking for, there was a better shot on the court that they thought. They were like, oh, it's a better shot on the court. But now that I think since the Pistons replaced 2 shooters, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, with 1 shooter, Duncan Robinson, maybe Isaiah Stewart has felt the need to step up and take more open shots when they are open. And this was one thing that when it happened, we were like, okay, this might be a positive thing outside of like the fact that we were one of the worst teams. We were one of the worst teams ever. But we were like, Isaiah Stewart, could he become a stretch 4? Maybe? Is he a backup 5? Is he a stretch 4? I think a lot of fans had questions on that in terms of like what position he could play at. And, last year, again, he was a backup center. This year, he can still be a backup center. But since Tobias Harris got injured, Isaiah Stewart has slotted into the 4, and it's worked. And I think a really important thing with this is the fact that Cade's going to get so much attention. He's going to get so much attention no matter what, right? So use the screen. Look at where Jaren Jackson Jr. is right now. Like, not even worried about what Isaiah Stewart is doing. But Isaiah Stewart knows that he's going to get this ball, and he's ready to shoot. He's going to be ready to shoot. If that's huge for us going forward. That's a big deal. Having players on our team that I can look at and be like, a wide open three, that's a good shot for you. That's so important. It's kind of one of the big things that allows Stewart and Duren to play together offensively. And early on in this season, a lot of these bigs are helping off of Isaiah Stewart, no matter who it is, right? Here's JJJ again, right? One pass away to Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart's going to rise and fire. Like, he's ready to shoot this year. And even though he misses this is a shot that I'm perfectly okay with, especially since this Pistons team has not gotten to a great start shooting the three-pointer. They just haven't. And honestly, I think that the Isaiah Stewart three-point shot, until further notice, will always be there. Look, they're not even going to close out on him because they're more worried about the other players on the floor, whether it's Tobias Harris or Duncan Robinson. And to be fair, I wouldn't want Duncan Robinson shooting the three either. But Isaiah Stewart is going to hit that in confidence. And if we have this for the entire season, then oh my goodness. I think it's the important part of his offensive game going forward. And I think one of the craziest things about us being 8-2 is the fact that we are the second lowest three-point making team in the league. We only make 10.5 a game, and we've been shooting at 34% from three-point range, which is like bottom. It's again it's not the worst tier in terms of percentage-wise, but it's not in the higher quadrant. I'll say that. So this is a team that right now currently does not shoot a lot of threes, but I'm used to being a team that didn't shoot and hit a lot of threes. I'm used to being a team, but I feel like there's just like way major differences because the Pistons have figured out other ways to score the ball. Okay, they found out other ways to score the ball, and that's fine. As of 10 games, we have the third best defensive rating in the league. Also, oh my goodness, Oklahoma City. What the... All right, sidebar. I really think if Oklahoma City wanted to go for 74 wins, they could do it. If they wanted to break that record, I think that they could. But this is not an Oklahoma City video. This is the Pistons video. The Pistons have the third best net rating in the league. And the difference between the Pistons and, say, like a Mavericks team is that their offense right here, the Mavericks offense is horrendous. Meanwhile, the Pistons, they have an offense that does just enough right now, and I'm totally fine with that. Because the Pistons know their strengths. They know their strengths, man. And they know who they are. Because 51% of their points are in the paint. No other team is above 50, guys. 51% of their points are in the paint. And it's fun when you see this Pistons team, whether it's Ausar Thompson, Ron Holland, Jalen Duren. This team takes pride in the paint on both ends of the floor. It's clean to see. Like, you're not going to get an easy shot, an easy layup off of this Pistons team, because if you're going for a layup, you might have to deal with Jalen Duren, Ausar Thompson, Cade Cunningham, who I think is one of the best shot blocking guards that we have in the league, Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, who I know that a lot of people that don't watch Detroit games think he's just getting a fight man, but he's one of the best rim protecting bigs in the entire league. And I hope that if he does get starter minutes going forward, that more people are going to be put on notice for that. The Pistons are also second in the league in blocks per game. And this is a shot blocking team by committee, whether it's Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, again, Ron Holland, all of them. It's a block by committee thing. So if one of them might be out of position, the other, like someone else is flying in trying to block the shot at the rim. Also, if we go to clean the glass, shout out to clean the glass. I love looking at clean the glass. Detroit has the second lowest points per 100 possessions played. Second to only, again, the Oklahoma City Thunder. This Detroit defense is for real. Okay? And in terms of defense, we have the #1 effective field goal percentage on defense. it's so hard to score on us right now because, one, if you have a backcourt guy, you have a backcourt star, Asar Thompson, you're seeing Asar Thompson goes out, you're seeing Ron Holland. Okay? If you score on us, it's not going to be easy. Not going to be an easy score. Honestly, doesn't matter who you are. And the thing is that Cade is not a negative defender. He's not a turnstile, okay? Even if Cade gets switched on to these backcourt stars, he's going to have the pride and the tools to be able to try to hold his own. And this defense is contagious, guys. And this defense is contagious, and it's something that this team puts their pride in a lot. And of course, we talked about points in the paint. A lot of their shots are at the basket. Either dunks, layups, whatnot. They're all at the bat. Whether it's Duren dunks, Asar Thompson dunks, this team tries to get as close to the basket as possible, and they have the facilities to do so. And again, when it comes to shots at the rim, Detroit, again, is number one at 56.5%. All right, let's compare it to the worst team, right? 74.1% at the rim. Detroit is only allowing 56. And I know that might sound like a high number to some, but those shots being that close to the basket and Detroit is able to just hold firm and not let anything real easy happen at the basket is so important. So again, this Detroit team is able to, if this Detroit team is able to control the paint at both ends, I think that that's something that's very sustainable given the personnel that we have here. We have one of the most athletic teams in the league. And I gotta say, the rest of the league, be very afraid of Duren, because I think that he has made some defensive strides that last year, a lot of us as a fan base were like really questioning. Even this first game where we were playing the Bulls and Vucevic like lit us up, and I was like, oh God. And I was like, but no, you can see this team takes pride in the defensive end. Also, good God, Asar and Ron Holland, bro. And I gotta give it to Philly, dude. I watched this game. It was very interesting. It was very like Edgecombe. If you're a Sixers fan right now watching this, BJ Edgecombe, Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, I'm excited to watch you guys play for the rest of their foreseeable careers. You guys have some fun in Philly. And also, I love this Philly logo. I love the 76ers logo. So here we have Duren. Like his eyes are still on McCain, right? And he's able to like just block that, which is awesome. I love the fact that like it seems that Duren is more attentive to the basket and more aware at the basket right now. Now, I don't think that we've played enough stretch bigs yet. I think we played against Vucevic. Well, Andre Drummond hit 2 threes in this game, but I'm not gonna count that. We did get 21 pieced by the Cavs. I will say that. But Magic, Mavericks, Jaren Jackson Jr. is I'll say a stretch big. But no, I really think that the Duren Isaiah Stewart pairing on defense is something that is just a joy to watch game in and game out. Look at the rim, bro. Isaiah Stewart and Duren. Isaiah Stewart's such a good rim protector. The fact that you have to deal with both Duren and Isaiah Stewart now at the rim, nothing easy, right? As soon as we block a shot, this Pistons team, it might be the most beautiful fast break in the NBA. It might be. And see Isaiah Stewart. Oh my God, dude. Isaiah Stewart, I think whenever I see Isaiah Stewart challenge at the rim, I think of when Marshawn Lynch is like, he's like, yeah, I'm going to get got. I'm going to get mine. And this is perfect, man. He reads the bounce pass and his timing, right? His timing and his overall strength. And the fact that Duren can still be out here because you have Isaiah Stewart. I know that Isaiah Stewart is not the typical like above the rim shot blocker, but you're not gonna score easy on him, right? And then from there on, the Pistons are able to just try to fast break and then a lob to Duren. Like this is, now he doesn't complete it, but this is what Detroit basketball is they're gonna try you at the one side of the paint and they're gonna zoom all the way to the other side and try to just like yam it home. This is fun. This is fun to watch all the time. It's like, this is like textbook Detroit basketball that we as Detroit fans have been used to for years in terms of like mentality. It's cool to see it in action again. Because right now here you have Cade here, right? Again, Cade, one of the most underrated shot blocking guards that we have in the league, right? Cade, great timing. And right here again, good defense. It's hard to score on both Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart, bro. Like them playing together on the defensive end, man, and the fact that they're like serviceable on offense in terms of playing together, incredible. Like when they play on the court together, I'm just like, oh man, okay, they're gonna have a hard time. And again here, look, oh my goodness, this is why I love Ausar Thompson, bro. For like 99% of the league, this is a layup for everybody involved. Jock Lawndale sees him briefly and he's like, oh no, I better go up quick with this. And here comes Ausar Thompson flying in. This is a textbook. This is the most normal Detroit defensive possession we see. This is often normal. And then on the other end, we're going to run. And even there, oh my goodness, even there, right? Ausar Thompson's able to get a piece. Just being able to play Duren, Ausar, and Stewart on defense together allows us to play Duncan Robinson at the starting lineup and not really worry about Duncan Robinson's defense. And I think that's really important. I think that when a player is not seen as a plus defender, having so many other plus defenders around them really can soften that blow. Maybe it's like you have a bunch of average defenders, because maybe you might have a bunch of average defenders around a negative defender, and that's where the mistakes get like capitalized and become way worse, right? So here you go, Isaiah Stewart again. I think he might have the best block timing. He might have one of the top best block timings in the league, not counting like Wembanyama, who's like a freak athlete, of course. Now again, once again, the Pistons are at the top of the league in fast break points, because when we do block a shot, when we do cause a turnover, we're out there running. We're out there sprinting. We're out there trying to dunk. And when you have one of the fastest players in the, like in Ausar Thompson, you have Ron Holland, they're trying to go to the basket. They're not like trying to leak out to the 3-point line. That's for Duncan Robinson only right now. But everybody that's running is trying to get to the basket. And like, this is what I'm talking about here. You have this beautiful Pistons fast break, force a turnover instantly. Everybody just takes off and it's beautiful. And the thing with Duren is that Duren can kind of push the ball a lot, which is cool. So even though he doesn't do that here, he just like gives it to Cade, and then instantly, no dribble, Cade finds Ausar. And this is how Ausar gets a lot of his offense. You know, defense creates offense, right? And here's Ausar again. Once the Pistons are out here running, this is what we like from Ausar in transition. Even though that didn't count as a dunk, the fact that you get Ausar in the open floor, which is where I think he's one of the most talented players at. But I love how, here's what I love. This is what I love about Ron Holland. This is one of my favorite players, bro. Ron Holland is 100% energy. He has one speed. Has it gotten him into some of the wildest foul trouble I've ever seen out of a player? Yes. But at this point in his career right now, wouldn't have it any other way. It doesn't matter what it is. Ron Holland is sprinting down the court all the time. All the time, bro. See, look again. Ron Holland, Ausar Thompson, right? It feels like, I don't know, it feels like Cade out here. It kind of reminds me of how like a quarterback runs the read option, right? Because you got two people ready to just crash to the rim at each time. And then you have Ausar Thompson, they win the track race. That's how they score. This is beautiful to watch, dude. You have Cade Cunningham, Ausar on the left, Ron Holland on the bottom, and then Duren as like the trail cleanup. And you know we're getting a bucket because Kelly Oubre fell, and Andre Drummond has no interest in running a race against Jalen Duren, especially when he has a head start. And that's the thing about Jalen Duren, his freak athleticism, bro. Him being able to outrun a lot of the bigs in the league makes this fast break just one of the things where it's like, okay, a Duren lob can happen, but everybody's just running. Doesn't matter. And it's beautiful to see. Also, Ausar Thompson hit a 3 today, and I was like, what? Now, in terms of Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland, I think we as Pistons fan over the offseason were like, we would like to see shooting leaps from both of them. Now, up until 10 games in this season, Ron Holland has been the more willing three-point shooter out of the two of them, which it makes sense given their play styles. I totally understand that. And even seeing it from Ron Holland, seeing him not hesitate to shoot certain shots, I like, because I feel like that will be better in the long run. Also, it's not shooting us out of games, because we're going to get to points in the playoffs where our defense is going to be fine. It's going to be great. Like playoffs, I feel like in the playoffs, our defense is going to be able to translate. The offense is where I have, I'll have my reservations, because we saw how the offense looked in the regular season compared to against the Knicks, where Malik Beasley was pretty cold that season. Where Malik Beasley was pretty cold that series, but the Pistons, and it's not that we blame Malik Beasley for being cold, it's that the Pistons didn't have the options or wherewithal to adjust. Now, that is where I think that Jaden Ivey will be able to come on in, hopefully be able to come on in and help with the Pistons' biggest weakness, which is non-Cade minutes. Non-Cade minutes are a tough offensive watch right now. It's not good. And I know that normally everyone's like, yeah, Cade is one of the better players in the league. Of course, when he sits down, it's going to be a different game. No, it's bad. Non-Cade minutes are painful. And here's the beautiful thing with Cade. If you look at his on-off stats, the upping the shots at the rim, and a lot of this is Cade lobs to Duren, Ausar, because Cade's able to create those opportunities for all of them at the rim. When he leaves the court, that disappears and the offense gets a lot tougher for everybody involved. When Cade Cunningham is off the floor, this team's offensive rating drops 10 points. It drops 10 points, dude. This team turns the ball over more with Cade Cunningham. I know that a lot of us talk about Cade Cunningham's turnovers, but if you give the ball to anyone else in a non-Cade lineup, they turn the ball over even more. Okay? So it's been very interesting seeing JB Bickerstaff try to make lineups without Cade, because sometimes Cade will get in foul trouble. So sometimes he'll run Ausar at the point, and sometimes he'll have that. But I think this team does have to find ways to make those non-Cade minutes not stick out as much. And I feel like a lot of that kind of goes and ties in with Caris LeVert's early shooting struggles. Caris LeVert hasn't really, he found it. He was shooting well against the Sixers, but over the course of these first 10 games, it has been a struggle shooting wise. But I also think that the non-Cade minutes will go over way smoother when we have Jaden Ivey back. I think that giving Jaden Ivey the keys to the second unit, when Cade, you can be able to stagger both of them, play Cade and Ivey together, I think will be a very fun dynamic. I think that that's going to be very important to the Pistons going forward, especially because I feel like now the Pistons are able to win these games now with just Cade being the engine, but Jaden Ivey can also help with the driving. Let's say, you're on a road trip, you take turns driving, okay? Jaden Ivey could also help drive this car, the motorcade, you know what I'm saying? Another really cool thing is Jalen Duren's start to the season. Last year, he was averaging 12 points a game. This year, it's 19.4. I feel like someone tapped Jalen Duren on the shoulder and been like, hey, I know you're 21, but you're a lot stronger than a lot of the bigs that are guarding you. And I think the thing with Jalen Duren is that a lot of people that watch him that don't watch the Pistons on a day-to-day basis are like, oh, he's just this big, strong guy. He's just like run and dunk man. No, it's not that. Jalen Duren, his drives are awesome. The fact that he's able to pass out of like a dribble handoff, like the handoffs that they do are interesting. I think he's a willing passer, which is fun. And he's also improved his free throw percentage. He's shooting 84% from the line. And getting to the line and getting 6 free throws a game, that's a big deal. Jalen Duren last year shot 66% from the stripe. He's improved that to 80%. And the thing is that he gets fouled a lot because a lot of these teams don't have an answer for him. His chemistry with Cade, it's hard to name a duo that has better chemistry than them. I'm going to be so for real. And it's beautiful how Jalen Duren could just be like this. And that move right there, he does like a free, he like does this dribble to like freeze Andre Drummond. Jalen Duren's touch is underrated as well, right? So this 2 seasons ago, when Jalen Duren would drive to the basket, we'd be like, okay, all right, don't know what's going to happen here. But he's really polished these moves that he's able to do and drive to the basket. Because the thing is that even though he is really strong, he's a lot quicker than the people guarding him. Here, again, it's Andre Drummond, Jalen Duren, one-on-one, and has the touch to just be able to just score over him, which is sick. Also, I think that Jalen Duren has improved as a screener and roller, in my opinion. I know that's like really hard to gauge, but I think that there is something that's really good in setting a screen and being able to like create these opportunities yourself. And this is what I was talking about with Duncan Robinson, bro. I've been watching Duncan Robinson for years be able to punish teams because they're so worried about his shooting. Like Andre Drummond here is worried about his shooting, but Duncan Robinson has shown the ability to be an underrated passer, and he'll make that pass. And then you have Jalen Duren downhill, which is like no one's stopping that. Okay, the quickness he rolls off the screen, he's like, yep, no one's stopping me right now. Another thing here, you have the Duren and Cade chemistry, which has been beautiful to build off of. And Jalen Duren just does he's great catching the ball here, and then realizing that there's nobody that can stop me in the paint right now. I'm just gonna dunk this home. A lot of people, I feel like, on this short roll would like maybe try to, well, not maybe, I feel like that lob to Ron Holland is like that's more of a Jokic move. But Duren's just gonna like, I'll take it from here. Honestly, you can meet me at the rim if you want, because then you have like an out of bounds play here, and then Cade posts up, edge come. The moment you see Andre Drummond turn his head here, Jalen Duren's going to the rim. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna cut. And now you have okay, I think it's crazy how there are 3 people on Cade Cunningham here, because again, they're worried about, this is a defensive miscommunication, I think, because you have McCain not worried about Asar. That's very fair. Then you have, but Duren is able to punish this Andre Drummond double team. And then Cade, the beauty of this is that Cade can just throw it up here, and Maxey has nothing. There's nothing Maxey can do about this, right? And Duren is always going to be an excited roller. He knows that Cade's going to be able to pass on the ball. And even in this broken play, Duren has the touch. We're back again. You know what it is. It's the Cade Duren pick and roll. You see it. Cade's going to throw it. And whoever, this Watford, it doesn't matter. I'm too strong, bro. I'm too strong for you. This upside is like contract year Jalen Duren, man. I remember we had talks as Pistons fans being like, should we extend him? Should we trade him? And I will probably admittedly be on the fence. I am so happy to be wrong. There's no one in this NBA circle space where I'm like, yeah, I was probably wrong on that. I'm just a guy that likes basketball. Can't say I'm an expert. The guy that likes hoops. All right. I had concerns about Jalen Duren going into the season. I'm so happy to be wrong. Oh my goodness. I think the funny thing with Duren is like Duren will catch this ball and he'll be okay, who do I have on me? Rookie VJ Edgecombe. I have someone that is cutting in Javonte Green, but no, I'm just stronger than you, buddy. Like, just get out the way, dude. This bully ball, bro, gets the hoop and the harm, and 84% free throw shooter. Am I crazy to say that he could potentially be an all-star from the East? Is that a crazy thing to say? I'm not sure, but he's been playing like an absolute monster. Cade Cunningham, bro, he started out a little bit slow in the first couple of games. A little bit slow. But since then, brother, oh my goodness, bro, this is a superstar. And we knew this last year. This is a absolute superstar, bro. And he's not currently shooting very well from 3. He's shooting 31% from 3. But I think that Cade came out of this offseason stronger and faster because he's able to get to the rim more. And I know that a lot of people were, they were questioning the Knicks series for sure because Cade, I think, a lot of wing defenders were thrown at Cade, and I think that they were the strength Cade had a little bit of, just a little bit of like trouble with that, and the fact that like the offense was running cold. But the fact that Cade is getting a lot of his shots closer to the basket, and you know, he's one of the most fun players to watch in the league. Okay, one of the most fun players to watch in the league, bar none. On the defensive end, again, like I said, he's one of the best shot blocking point guards that we have in this league. So the defense, you know, we have other defenders, but Cade can hold his own. He can hold his own, dude. And his game is so fun to watch too. Like him with Duren right here, he's gonna get all the way to the basket at his own pace. Do a little off foot here. And of course, Cade has the polish, the balance, and the footwork out of the post to be able to do this and be like, yeah, pure. Love that. I love that he can get any shot that he wants. And here, again, we have our boy Ron Holland. Ron Holland, my favorite player, being like, I got you, bro. I got you. I'm gonna draw away from the defense. And Cade's gonna be like, thank you very much. And one. Finishing through contact, getting more foul calls this year. And my favorite part of Cade's game is that he gets out here, great pass over here, sees Duren and be like, okay, yeah, I can throw that. Love that. And he's currently 3rd in the league in assists per game. Again, the Duren Cade pick and roll, and he's going to see this a lot because these teams are going to be like, yeah, no, we're going to make everyone except Cade beat us. But then Duren will be like, okay, ball guard on me. That's fine. Easy money. Oh my goodness. Look at this pass here. I love this. I love that. And the fact that Cade and Stewart are improving their pick and roll as well is so important, because now you have Duren here, and then you can have Stewart on the pick and roll as well. And if Stewart misses this, you know that Jalen Duren's going to like crash the boards and try to put it back. Oh my God, that is Kevin Love. And you got the game make it easy for you. Here's the secondary break where like you see the easy slip. And then Cade, who I don't know, he might be a top 5 lob passer that we have in the league right now. I know we have Jokic, we have Luka, we have Trae Young. I think Cade might be a top 5 lob passer in the league because he can just throw it off the bounce, and their alley-oop chemistry is so fluid, so seamless. It's just a work of art. Again, Cade, I know that we talk about Cade's turnovers a lot, but when you see stuff like this and he is the main focus of it, the turnovers I'm totally fine with. And the good thing here about Stewart and Duren being able to play together is that Cade now is two pick and roll partners. Potentially 3 if you want to throw Asar in there, honestly. But it's a pick and roll dynamic that I don't think you really see when Tobias Harris is on the court. And I'm not saying that the injury to Tobias Harris is what sparked this. I'm not saying that, because I think that the Tobias Harris signing was one of the most important Detroit Pistons signings of the last couple of years. And I know that Sixers fans are going to record scratch and pause this video being like, I can't believe he just said that. The fact that we got Tobias Harris for only a 2-year deal, didn't pay him the max. Tobias Harris wanted to be here. Tobias Harris is one of the few veterans around the Detroit Pistons organization that has wanted to be here. I think that that's a very important thing. And we had vets 2 years ago, right, that we looked at them and we were like, yeah, they're probably in the back of their head being like, I'm not going to be on this team by the deadline, right? In comes Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dennis Schroeder, all of these older players that not only like embraced playing for Detroit, I think they really set a good example for this young core going forward. And I think that this is one of the results of that, if I'm being completely honest. So I think that even if Tobias Harris doesn't come back next year because his contract runs out, I will forever be grateful for Tobias Harris for wanting to be in Detroit. You know, he played for us once and then left, came back. I think that that's going to be so important going forward. And, you know, it might not always show in the stat sheet, but I think that it's something that I'm always going to be grateful that Tobias Harris signed that 2-year deal. Now, I don't know what happens when Tobias Harris comes back, because I think that playing Stewart and Duren is their effect right now is undeniable. in my opinion, I think that that's the case. We will see what happens when Tobias Harris gets back. We'll see what happens when Jaden Ivey gets back. But I think that this team, yes, they have a lot of questions, but it's a lot of good questions to have, honestly. And I'm totally on board with this, and I'm totally excited for the rest of the season, which is something that in all my years of being a Pistons fan, I rarely have said. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. I know this is a long one. It's a doozy. I appreciate you guys so much. Love you guys. Feel free to support me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.